Assalamu alaikum guys and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn about CI/CD pipeline. In the past few weeks I got quite a lot of requests from various people and asking about preparing tutorial for CI/CD pipeline. But they would like to put their code on GitHub and you want to use Azure DevOps as their CI/CD tool. So in today's video we will learn what is CI/CD and try to use GitHub code to publish on the CI/CD pipelines. So let's look into the agenda. So we will look into the definitions of CI and then CD and then try to create a new MVC project. It will be a very basic project because our focus is on the CI/CD pipeline rather than to focus on the actual web application. Then we will publish it to the GitHub from Visual Studio 2022 and we will create a very basic simple build pipeline to see the continuous integration and then also create a release pipeline, and if finally we will publish it to the Azure web application, and we will see some of the basics or the prerequisites to publish to the Azure web app, which is service connection, and finally we will verify or browse our application to see everything is working. So let's look into the definition of what is CI. CI actually stands for continuous integration, and it is just only a mechanism where developers in one team or maybe multiple teams, they are trying to push their code and their changes into the central repository. And of course, once they have pushed their code, the build will kick in and try to compile the changes and execute automated tests. So there are a couple of steps involved. So rather than doing it manually, it is all happening automatically with the CI/CD pipeline. So continuous integration, whatever your changes are happening, they will be continuously trying to make sure your changes looks good. There are no breaking changes. So the tests are passing successfully. So that's how you can see the quality of your code. Similarly, once the build is successful, what you will do CD part. The CD is the continuous deployment and it is a process to push your build artifacts in the respective environment. So first of all, it should go to the dev environment, then test and the production environment. By the way, these definitions are very simple and in my own words. So you can find plenty of other definitions on the Google, and the basic idea of the theme is exactly the same. So again, let's try to understand from this picture what we are trying to achieve in this video. So the actor will be the developers in the real case scenario, and they will be using Visual Studio or maybe the Visual Studio code to write their code, and then eventually they will push their changes to the GitHub, and then GitHub will kick in the build pipeline. They will be using Azure pipelines in the Azure DevOps and then try to push or deploy the code into the Microsoft Azure. And in this particular tutorial, we are using Azure App Services plan to deploy our code or the MVC web application. So the important bits in this diagram is to understand from which part CI starts and finish and the CD part of the CI/CD pipeline. So now let's try to create a new MVC web application. I'm using Visual Studio 22, but you can use any other version of Visual Studio according to your own convenience. So I'm going to select ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller and try to give some name. I am giving CI/CD MVC app. So let's try to give this name, and I'm going to unselect HTTPS because I want to keep things simple. Just make sure you have selected the .NET 6, which is the long-term support framework version. Luckily I do have only this one, but if you have multiple frameworks, try to make sure which one you are using it. Okay, and just try to use, click on create button, and it will create project for you. It's always good to compile project just to make sure everything is working in local. So yeah, my project is building. I can try to run it locally. Come on. It's loading. Yep, I can see the project is loading successfully. It is using IIS Express as of now. Now what I need to do, I need to publish this project to GitHub. So what I will do, in Visual Studio 2022, it's very simple. You can right click on the solution and then create on Git repository. You can add, if you have not added your GitHub account, you can add it. In my scenario, I have already added my GitHub account, so it's not asking my credentials again. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm using my GitHub account and I'm the owner of this application, and just try to make sure, is it I mean, it's up to you if you want to use private, or if you are adding a repository for community, then you can uncheck it to keep it public, and then eventually it will push your code into this URL. So let's try to create and push. You can see there are no GitHub icons which is telling the files are added or not, but you will see in next few seconds it will be here. And if I can see the logs, yep, created and pushed repository to GitHub successfully. And you can see in the Solution Explorer, the icons have changed slightly. You can see a lock icon which is telling the code has been checked into the GitHub. Okay, so now the code has been pushed. What I need to do, I need to so let's try to browse the URL for Azure DevOps, which is dev.azure.com. So I'm going to open this one. What you need to do, you need to make sure you are signing into the Azure DevOps. If you try to sign in here, then it will take you to the Azure portal instead of the Azure DevOps portal. So there's a difference. Azure DevOps is used for CI/CD, for maintaining the repositories and all of your artifacts. However, this one is just for the Azure portal, which is the whole world of Azure. So I'm clicking it here. Oops. Okay, so in my scenario, I have already saved credentials in my browser. That's why it took me to the Azure DevOps portal in my scenario. But for your case, it will ask for credentials, and then you need to enter your details, and then it will do the login. Okay, in Azure DevOps, you usually have the organizations, and then you might have couple of teams project. I'm not going into the detail of Azure DevOps tutorial itself. What I'm trying to do, I'm gonna pick my team project, which is this one, Bazaar applications. So I'm gonna pick up this one. Here you can see, if you want, you can maintain your taskboard. You can put your repositories where you will have multiple repos for your code base. You can do the pipelines, you can have your test plans, and you can have your artifacts. But in this particular scenario, what we are doing, we are ignoring. We are saying, okay, we just want to use pipelines in this Azure DevOps, and we are storing our boards and repos somewhere else. In this particular scenario, we are using GitHub to maintain these repos, but we want to create a connection between GitHub and Azure DevOps. So what we need to do, first of all, we need to come into the project settings at the left side bottom. Click on here. So in terms of communication between GitHub and Azure DevOps, you need to create a service connection. So that will store your GitHub credentials, and when you need to fetch the code from GitHub, it will use that service connection. And you have to define in a couple of configurations later on. We will come into that one. First of all, let's try to create service connection. So there is no connection at all at this stage. For all the external entities where you are going to communicate, you need these service connections. If you want to publish the code into any, like in our scenario, to the app services plan or any other server, then you need to have another service connection here as well. So first of all, try to get the code. To get the code, we need to create a service connection. When I click on that one, it is giving me some options, and I need to select option according to my own requirement. In my case, what I need to do, I need to fetch my code from GitHub. So I will select GitHub, click on next, and then it is asking service connection name and then description. So what I can do, I can say GitHub CI/CD. I am leaving the description empty as of now. The important bit is you need to select this option for the security purposes. If you do not grant access permission to all pipelines, then it won't work. The other thing what you need to do, you need to select Azure Pipelines from the auth configuration. And now the important bit, you need to authorize the connection. Once you click on that one, it will ask credentials, but again, in my scenario, because I have already authenticated in this browser, so it has picked up my GitHub connection because I have already opened it here. So that's the CI/CD MVC app which we just published. So it has already picked up my connection, and you can give it has changed the connection name as well. So I'm gonna rename this one again, GitHub CI/CD. So that's what my service principal name looks like. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this service connection. Cool. So now you can see one service connection has been established between Azure DevOps portal and GitHub. So that's how we can communicate between the two systems. So the integration has been done. Now what I need to do, I need to create, first of all, build pipeline. So once we are able to successfully build, then we can do the deployment pipeline. So let's go to the pipelines icon on the left hand menu bar. So I'm gonna hover on it and I can see the pipelines. What you need to do, you need to select the very first option, which is pipelines. Here you can see at this stage there are no pipelines because I have not created in the past. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create pipeline here, and then it will start asking questions, and you can see the stages. At the moment we are at connect stage, then we need to select and then configure and review. So what it is asking, essentially your code, from where it needs to pick up the code. Is it from the Azure DevOps portal itself or Bitbucket? So you can see there are a couple of options. And quite important bit is the last line. Use classic editor to create pipeline without YAML, or do you want to use YAML? So there is no difference between the two in terms of creating pipeline. The only major thing is the classic editor is a little bit easier to explain and understand. So what we will do, we will try to pick up classic editor first, and then later on at some later stage in some other video we will learn YAML as well. Okay, so again it is asking the code, so select the source from where it needs to pick up your source code. So in our scenarios we are storing our code in GitHub, so I will select GitHub, right? And as soon as you select GitHub, it is asking authorized using connection GitHub CI/CD. So what is it? It is a service connection which you have created in the previous step. So yes, that's the service connection you need to use. And now try to pick up the repository. I do have couple of them, and what I need to do, I need to pick up the first one. No, sorry. So that's our repository which we have created, CI/CD MVC application. Okay, and which branch you need to pick up? At the moment I do have only one branch, master, so I'm selecting that one. But if you have multiple branches and you want to build from different branch like develop or any other branch, so you can set up that branch here. Click on continue. Now what we need to do, we need to define stages, all the stages which will be the part of build pipeline. And for that one you need to pick up a template. Again, it is giving the YAML options, so that is one option available for you, but we want to use classical option, or you can create an empty job and then add the task later on. So what we can do, I will go with ASP.NET Core option. I'm just trying to make sure, is there anyone for web application? No, that's the one. Build, test an ASP.NET Core web application. So I will select this one and click on apply, and then it will add couple of steps for me. So if you can see, it has added some jobs for me. So let's try to understand it one by one. So first of all, you need to select pipeline here. You can give the name whatever you wish to give it. At the moment it is picking up a default name. We can say this one ASP.NET Core CI MVC application, or just MVC, right? You need to select agent pool. Agent pool is the agent on which all these steps will be executing. It's just only a machine, right? So you need to select default one, which is hosted Azure Pipelines. But if you have multiple agents in your organization, you can pick up accordingly. So I will select Azure Pipelines, and the other thing you need to specify the operating system of that agent. So one option, I usually try to do the Windows latest, but if you know a specific Windows version, or if you are using Ubuntu or Macintosh, you can select according to your own requirements. And as we are building ASP.NET Core application, so that's platform independent, so it does not you don't need to worry if you have created that application in Windows, you cannot use any other operating system, so you are free to use it. So yep, our agent has been configured. Leave all the parameters in default state, you don't need to change it. And then what it will do, you have configured the pipeline. Now try to come onto the get sources. So this is the very first step which we have discussed when we looked into the very high level diagram in the very initial slides. So get sources, first of all it will try to pick up the code, and we have already configured. We need to pick up the code from GitHub using this service connection, and that's our repository. We need to look into master branch, and when it is trying to get it, it will clean it. So try to remove bin and obj folders. Yep, it will clean the sources. And yeah, we don't want to do any tagging as of now, just keep it simple and default. So that will configure your get sources step. Now move to the agent. Agent is actually the machine configuration. If you want to change the name, if you have multiple one, you can have your names like, for example, marketing department or the accounts, or maybe different agents. But if you are working in a small company, just keep it simple. And yeah, you don't need to make a lot of changes for this step, so keep it simple. Now going on to the first step of the actual job list which this agent will be performing. So first of all, whenever you are trying to build your code locally, it's trying to load all the dependencies. So now in the the modern programming architecture, so dependencies are loaded as part of the NuGet packages. So what it will do, it will try to restore NuGet packages. So you can see the command restore command is selected for the NuGet for all the projects within this solution. So yeah, and the feeds usually it should be in the NuGet.config or whatever you have selected. So just keep it simple. And once the packages has been restored, what it needs to do, it needs to build the project. And of course you have to define your build configuration, whether it should be either release config or the debug config. So you can define in the pipeline variables. So you can see it should be using the release one, right? And the next one is the unit test. If you have any unit test defined in your project, you need to execute the .NET test command, and it will execute all of the unit test and make sure your code is your tests are passing on the build agent, or is it failing. And once it's all done, you can publish the code. It will try to create a bundle, and in the publish code with the release configuration in this build artifacts directory, it will just do the zip. And if finally you need to publish it for to make it available for the release pipelines. So it's all simple. So all the steps are pre-configured, you don't need to do much. But there is one thing I just want to disable it, because we do not have any unit test cases. So what I will do, I will just right click and disable this task as of now. So seems like our configuration is completed as part of the build pipeline. So congratulations, you are about to kick in your first build pipeline. Okay, so let's try to save and queue. If you wish, you can put a comment. It is just showing you the options or the configuration summary, which is going to kick in now. Let's try to click on save and run. So your job has been queued for this agent. It is acquiring agent from the cloud. So it is still in the queue. Yep. So the agent is available now. It has picked up the job, and it is trying to fetch code from GitHub. It has done it successfully. Trying to restoring packages. Cool. Now doing a build. and publishing it, and the job is done. Woohoo! So you have successfully executed your first build pipeline. Now, the other part, you have successfully executed your build pipeline. Now, what you need to do, you need to push bundle on the Azure so that you can browse the application. But before that, I just want to look into publish artifact. Yep. Okay, cool. It looks good. So go to the releases option now in the pipelines, and now you can see there are no release pipelines yet. I'm going to create the very first one, so click on the new pipeline. Okay, as part of that one, as soon as I click on that, it is asking me which particular template I want to pick up. As I have mentioned, what we are trying to do, we are trying to deploy, you can have many options, or you can just select empty template and then add the jobs later on. But now we do have Azure, we are trying to publish to App Services plan, so I will pick up Azure App Services deployment. Cool. I will keep the stage num as it is, or what I can do, I can just say dev environment, right? And what we need to do, we can see there's a red sign of exclamation. That means there is something needs to be configured. If you click on that one, it will give you the details. You need to configure this step, deploy to Azure App Services. So even before that, your dev stage name, what you need to do, you need to sort out your Azure subscription. So usually what happen, your Azure subscription, if you are using a different account, it will ask you, let's try to open it in a new tab. I just click on manage, and then I can see my service connection, which is GitHub. Let me use this Azure service subscription one. Why it is showing me? Let me explain you. Because I'm using the same account for my Azure portal and for my for the Azure DevOps. But if you are using different one, probably you might need to create another service connection. So that's why it has recognized my subscription. But having said that, it is asking me to authorize it. So I'm going to authorize now. Cool. It is asking me my credential to verify I am the person who is owning this credential. To let me verify my credentials. So now it is authorizing my subscription. So it has recognized my subscription, and now what I need to do, I need to select details of my app services plan. So I need to make sure which one I'm running. I'm running web application on Windows, Linux, or it's a function or API or mobile application. So in our scenario, it's a web application and we want to execute on Windows. So before selecting app services name, I need to make sure I have created that one or not. So I'm jumping onto the Azure portal. So that's my portal looks like. That's my subscription. I'm using a trial one, so that's why it's giving me the upgrade option. So what I will do, I will go to the home and just searching here App Services plan. Try to click on create. I'm going to create a web application. So it used to call web app. Now it is referred as an app service. I'm using Azure subscription 1. You can create a resource group. What I'm trying to do, I'm going to select an existing one, which is development I have created. I can put some name for my application. So that's quite important. So whatever name you are giving, it will be used to browse your web application as long as you're using Azure websites.net domain. Later on, you can add your custom domain as well, but it should be unique. It should not be the one which is already used by anywhere in the web. So what I can do, I can say demo GitHub MVC. Yep, it seems to be available. Demo GitHub MVC.azurewebsites.net. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to publish code. I'm not publishing static web app or container. So just keep it code. Runtime stack, quite important. We need to select your technology. In our scenario, we are using .NET and .NET 6 long-term version for the .NET framework. So that's the option which I have asked you. Hey, you need to select web app on Windows or web app on Linux. So we are selecting it here Windows. So we need to make sure here as well we are selecting web app on Windows. So that's Windows. The location of your web app. So as I'm in the Pacific region, so I'm selecting Australia East, right? And yeah, the plan is I'm happy with this one, with this plan, because I'm using the trial one, so I'm using the free platform for this one. I'm happy with the 1 GB memory. So if you can pick up your options according to your own memory and CPU requirements. I don't want any redundancy as of now. Oh, okay, just click on the next deployment. Tool looks good. Review and create. Yep. Click on create. It will take some time to deploy in the background, so just be patient. Here you can see it's saying your deployment is complete. That's good. So you can click on go to resource. So it will take you to the demo GitHub MVC which we just have created. Okay, you can see the URL on the right side. Let me copy this one and then see if I can see anything. Try to browse it. So it is saying your web app is running and waiting for your content. So that means there is no application deployed on this web application. So what we can do, we can now refresh it here. Okay, now if you select the drop down, it is giving you your application options. So in our scenario, we do have demo GitHub MVC. Just select this one and that's it. You just need to configure only one task and your pipeline is pretty much ready. So I can say here deploy web app. So you can give any name, whatever you wish to give. I'm going to save this pipeline. Yep, on the root folder, and the pipeline has been saved. Now you can see all pipelines, so you have only one, which is this one. There are no releases as of now. What you can do, you can let me go into here, try to edit this one. Yep, so there is another important thing. The pipeline will pick up it should pick up the bundle which is produced by the build pipeline, right? So that will referred as an artifact. So you need to click on here, add, and then you need to tell this pipeline from where to pick up the bundle. Is it from the build, or is it from, maybe you are just using the release part, so that's why it is asking. Maybe you are building somewhere else, GitHub or Team Foundation server, or maybe from any other location. So because we are building on the same Azure DevOps server, so we can say build, and then which project. Of course, this is our Teams project, and then you can select the bundle. So that's here our bundle, right? So that's the project build pipeline. So you can change the name if you wish. I'm leaving it as it is. Just click on add, right? And what you can do, so you can see this small icon, which if you hover on it, you can see continuous deployment trigger. So as soon as the build has been completed, it will update the bundle here, and then if you click on this one, right, you can see continuous deployment trigger, which is CD part of the pipeline. So it is telling, if you have enabled this one, then as soon as the bundle is available, it will start deploying onto the app services plan, right? If you wish a particular branch, you can add a filter here, but I just want to keep it simple from the bundle perspective, so you can have multiple options available here. So I am enabling it here, the continuous deployment, so that as soon as the bundle is available, it should be deployed on the machines, target machines. So yep, enable it. So you can see the small check or a tick mark. So that means your pipeline release pipeline is ready. So let's try to save it and try to create a new release. Let's try to see. I'm excited. Release 1. So you can see it has queued the release and waiting for the hosted Windows agent. Now your deployment is in progress. If you want, you can just click on this one. It will start showing you the logs or the overall process. What I can do, I can try to refresh this page here. As of now, nothing is here. It's still deploying. Seems like it is doing something. It's not available. That means it's doing something. Come on. Cool. So the deployment has been completed. One thing I forgot to tell you. So at this stage, we are using only one stage. But what you can do, you can create multiple stages pipeline as well. One option is you can deploy to dev and then QA and then production. Or what you can do, you can have multiple environment for the dev stage as well. For example, you can use app services plan, you can have your local server, you can have the virtual machine in the Azure cloud or AWS, wherever it is. So there are heaps of options available, but I try to keep it simple at this stage. Now what we can do, we can go here and try to browse our website. Now try to refresh and then see it's loading. Woohoo! So you can see the default template of MVC which we put on the GitHub. So it's loading. That's quite good. So you can see the all the stuff is automated. So now if you start making your changes, it will be automatically reflecting here. What I can do, I just want to make sure my CI pipeline is enable the trigger or not. So you can see that that's my build pipeline. I can go into the triggers and I will enable continuous integration. And of course, I'm at the moment I'm just leaving it to the default branch master. But again, if you want to add multiple branches or you want to add all the branches, you can do the filter here, asterisk. I'm leaving it to default for now, and I will save this configuration. Okay, now what if someone comes in here in your code base and try to make some changes? Let's say let me see. So that's welcome. I can say welcome to CICD automation. You can put any text or any changes. I just want to demonstrate whether it's picking up your changes. So as a developer, I'm going to push my changes. I'm doing commit. What I say, new heading or message, new message, right? So it was asking my username and password for the GitHub. Okay, so I'm gonna commit this one, commit stage, and just want to push these changes, initiating push. Cool, successfully pushed to origin. Now go back to here. Of course, it will give you the old message as of now. Let's try to go here in the pipelines, and then you can see it's running. So as soon as you can see I have put the comments, new message, and it is building my pipelines. So once the pipeline successfully executed, it will publish the artifact, right? And then once the artifact has been published, once it is published, and then it will be picked up by the release pipeline. You can see release 2 is automatically created. I have put the stage name as dev, so it's in progress. And once all these steps has been executed, then it will start showing my changes. So yeah, let's wait for this one to finish. This time seems quicker. Yep, so it has successfully executed all the jobs or the tasks within dev stage. So let's try to go into the website and try to refresh and then see our changes are reflecting or not. Woohoo! So you can see your changes. Welcome to CI and CD automation. So that means what you can see how handy it is. You just need to check in your code and you don't need to worry about your build. You don't need to worry about your deployment. Everything is automated. So only one time effort in terms of configuration. Once the configuration is successful, up and running, and then your changes will be going through the pipelines and reflect into the production environment or whatever it is, dev, QA, or production. I will try to uh, explain how to put some gates or the approvals to go into the production. So that's also an option so that you can control your changes rather than you deploy your half-baked changes into the production environment. So thank you very much, guys. So hopefully you have learned something new in this video. So I try to keep it, very simple. I haven't gone into the details, but there are heaps of details in CI/CD pipeline. But I would recommend you to start with the simple and basic one, and then try to customize it according to your own requirements or your own scenarios. So thank you very much. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would request you to please subscribe my channel and tell me in the comments how much you like my video. Thank you very much.